Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get discussed nearly enough, the psychological trauma that people experience after taking another person's life. Now, I want to be clear from the start. This isn't about glorifying violence or making excuses for harmful actions. This is about understanding the human mind, the weight of trauma, and what happens psychologically when someone crosses that ultimate line, whether in war, self-defense, accident, or crime. Because here's the thing, our brains aren't designed to kill other humans, and when it happens, the psychological aftermath can be devastating, regardless of the circumstances. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about why this is so traumatic in the first place. From an evolutionary standpoint, humans are social creatures. We survived as a species because we learned to cooperate, form bonds, and work together. Our brains are literally wired for empathy. We have mirror neurons that help us understand and feel what others are experiencing. So when someone kills another person, they're going against millions of years of evolutionary programming. Even soldiers who are trained extensively to do this in combat situations often struggle deeply with it afterward. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, a psychologist and military historian, talks about something he calls the resistance to killing. He found that throughout history, even in battle, many soldiers wouldn't fire their weapons or they'd deliberately miss. It wasn't cowardice. It was a deep psychological barrier against taking human life. When that barrier is crossed, the mind has to process something it was never really designed to handle. And that's where the trauma begins. So what actually happens psychologically in the immediate aftermath? Well, it varies dramatically based on context, but there are some common patterns. Many people describe a sense of unreality, like they're watching themselves from outside their body. This is called dissociation, and it's actually a protective mechanism. The brain is essentially saying, this is too much to process right now, so I'm going to create some distance. Some people experience what's called moral injury. This is different from PTSD, though they often occur together. Moral injury happens when someone does something or witnesses something that violates their core beliefs about right and wrong. It's not just about fear or danger. It's about a fundamental rupture in how they see themselves and the world. A veteran I read about described it perfectly. He said, "I can handle the nightmares about the firefight. What I can't handle is looking in the mirror and seeing someone I don't recognize anymore." For some people, especially in cases of self-defense or accidents, there's overwhelming guilt, even when they logically know they had no choice. The emotional brain doesn't care about logic. It just knows that someone is dead because of their actions. And then there's the isolation. Because how do you talk about this? How do you explain to friends or family what you're going through when you've done something most people can't even imagine? Now let's talk about the long-term effects, because this trauma doesn't just disappear. PTSD is probably the most well-known consequence. Flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance, emotional numbness, all the classic symptoms. But with killing-related trauma, there are some unique aspects. Many people develop what psychologists call intrusive thoughts, vivid, unwanted memories that play over and over. They might see the person's face, remember specific details, or relive the moment repeatedly. These aren't just unpleasant memories. They're psychologically tormenting. Depression is incredibly common. Some studies suggest that soldiers who have killed in combat are significantly more likely to develop severe depression than those who served but didn't kill. There's this profound sense of loss, not just of the other person, but of their own innocence, their old identity. Substance abuse rates are also higher. Alcohol, drugs, they become ways to numb the pain, to quiet the memories, to sleep without nightmares. It's self-medication, and it rarely works long-term. Some people develop what's called survivor's guilt, a feeling that they don't deserve to live, to be happy, or to move forward when someone else is dead. Even in clear-cut cases of self-defense, this guilt can be crushing. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough: relationship breakdown. The trauma can make it incredibly difficult to maintain close relationships. Some people become emotionally withdrawn. Others become irritable or volatile. Trust issues, intimacy problems, these are all common. Now, I want to emphasize that context matters enormously here. Someone who kills in combat, someone who kills in self-defense, someone who commits murder, these are vastly different situations, and the psychological aftermath is different too. Combat veterans often struggle with the military context itself. They were ordered to kill, trained to kill, told it was necessary, and then sent home to reintegrate into a society where killing is the ultimate taboo. That cognitive dissonance is brutal. In self-defense situations, even when there's no legal culpability, the trauma can be severe, because defending yourself doesn't erase the fact that you took a life. Many people in these situations torture themselves with what-ifs. What if I'd done something differently? What if there was another way? For those who commit intentional violence, murder, manslaughter, the trauma is complicated by guilt, shame, and often incarceration. Some show genuine remorse and struggle deeply. Others seem to have different psychological profiles: psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder, where the normal empathy circuits don't function the same way. But even among people who've committed serious crimes, many do experience trauma, especially as time passes and they reflect on what they've done. So the big question: can people heal from this kind of trauma? The answer is complicated, but yes, healing is possible, though it's often a lifelong process. Therapy is crucial. Specifically, trauma-focused therapies like EMDR, prolonged exposure therapy, or cognitive processing therapy. These help people process the traumatic memories in a safe environment and develop healthier ways of coping. Support groups can be incredibly valuable too. Talking to others who've been through similar experiences reduces that sense of isolation. Veterans groups, trauma support groups. Being around people who understand can be life-changing. Some people find meaning through service or advocacy, turning their pain into purpose. Veterans becoming mental health advocates, people working to prevent violence, using their experience to help others. Forgiveness, both of others and of oneself, is often part of the healing journey, though it's not linear and it's not always possible. What's clear from the research is that ignoring the trauma doesn't work. It doesn't go away. It has to be acknowledged, processed, and integrated. And that takes time, support, and often professional help. So here's what I want you to take away from this. The psychological weight of taking a human life is profound and lasting. Our brains aren't designed for it, and the trauma that follows is real and serious, regardless of the circumstances. Understanding this trauma isn't about justifying actions or removing accountability. It's about recognizing the full psychological reality of violence and its aftermath. If you or someone you know is struggling with trauma related to violence, please reach out for help. I'll put some resources in the description below. Thanks for watching. If this video made you think, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology content. And let me know in the comments, what aspect of trauma psychology would you like me to cover next? Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.